Hello, haulers. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week. I am here on U-Haul with Jess with some different content for you today. For all of you who have never been here, usually I am taking you inside the store to show you exactly how my family buys a whole month's worth of groceries at one time. By meal planning, buying exactly what's on the list, price checking everything before I go with estimates, and just knowing exactly what I'm spending and only spending that. And sticking to those meals, not going out to eat a ton, all the tips and tricks that I give on this channel are for you to save all the money possible each month on food so that you can pay off debt or have free money and not just be living paycheck to paycheck. But today's a little bit of a twist. I was on my Instagram stories the other day sharing a new technique that my family and I have started to implement in this new year 2020. It's something that I have been doing research for probably a year now, and being a little scared, my husband being a little hesitant, we didn't go forth with it until now. So this new system is still very new to us. As I said, we're just starting it in the new year, and today's only the 17th of January. So we've literally only been implementing it for a couple weeks now, but we've already seen great success. So after all the questions that kept coming into my direct messages on Instagram about how I get started and what do you do about this and what do you do about that and where do you get your envelopes, and all the questions that started flooding in, I thought, I just need to make a YouTube video explaining exactly why we got started doing this, how we got started doing this, and how you can get started doing this same thing too. Not only that, but I'm going to answer some of the additional questions that you guys sent to me via Instagram Messenger as well. The system that I'm talking about is a very common method that some of you may have heard of before. It's the cash envelope system. From what I understand, this was a system that was introduced by Dave Ramsey, who is a very famous Christian man who has worked very hard at teaching many, many, many people how to pay off millions and millions and billions probably of dollars of debt and to live a debt-free life, paying cash for everything and never using a credit card again. He has a lot of great techniques. My husband and I did his Financial Peace University classes through our church and learned so much more than what we already knew. We were already on the journey to paying off our debt when we started this class, but it was so nice learning additional things in the process. So the cash envelope system was not something that was really introduced in the class, but it was something that I found during my own research. So for all of you who are asking about where I learned this, where I did my research before I started. To be honest with you guys, I looked everywhere. Like I said earlier, I researched for a year before I started doing this. I practiced scenarios in my head. I wrote down budgets. I wrote down estimates of what we could use in cash and what we need to use digitally, and I'll get to that more in a minute. I looked at Instagram pages, I looked at YouTube channels, I looked at Dave Ramsey's website, I looked at other websites, I looked at Facebook pages that were, debt-free Dave Ramsey kind of Facebook pages. I Googled, I did so much research. I even used Etsy to find my envelopes. So to say that I went to one source is not true. I didn't just use Dave Ramsey for this method. And some of this he may not agree with, and some of it may not be his teachings, but a combination of multiple people's teachings, and it's just what works for my family. So keep in mind, it may not be what's best for you guys and your family, but again, it's what's gonna work for us for now. As beginners, we're obviously going to learn as we go, make some changes as we go. It just makes more sense for us to be a half cash and part digital family. And what I say by digital is that we actually have a lot of our bills that are on automatic withdrawal from our bank account. So having a bank account is awesome for multiple reasons. But one thing that I've learned with automatic withdrawal, when I first started this debt-free journey, Dave Ramsey had suggested to call your companies that you're paying your bills through and work out negotiations for cheaper prices, whether it be your cell phone bill or your you know, it could be anything really. But the cell phone was the one that I made the call on. Changing your due dates if you need to, different things like that. So I had made a call to my car insurance company to find out if there were any discounts that I could get on my car insurance, and they let me know that I could get a cheaper deal on automatic withdrawal. So I set up automatic withdrawal, saved myself $10 a month. That's a lot. And then did the same thing with my cell phone bill. So to save money, it is good to have bills coming out of your bank account if you can save money that way. And it definitely doesn't hurt to call and ask if that's an option with any of your bills. Not many people are, you know, driving to pay their bills anymore and dropping them off, like their water bill and all that stuff. Most of the time it is automatic withdrawal or being paid online through your bank account. So I know that this isn't something new to everybody, but not many people know that the automatic withdrawal discount does apply in some circumstances. So I suggest that you guys look into that. But anyways, so that's why we use digital for most things. So different things that I have on automatic withdrawal include my mortgage, our car payments, our cell phone bill, the gas bill, my gym membership for my Ladies Edge program that I do, student loans, car insurance, electric bill, and the internet. So then the things that we cash flow would include our 10% tithes for the month at our church. We also pay cash for our water bill and our tax bill and gas. Sometimes we'll do gas. Sometimes it's not convenient to do gas for your car. It's easier to run a debit card instead of running into the store, the gas station to pay with 3 kids in the van. I'd rather just swipe a card. So sometimes we just do it off the card. Fun money, clothing, food, groceries, beauty items, those are all cash flowed things. Vacations, different things like that. So when I say half digital, half cash, that's what I mean. We're not 100% cash on anything. And to be honest with you, we probably never will be. So then where do we begin? Where do we begin with the cash envelope system? Well, my biggest suggestion to you to start is to make sure that you're ready to be all in. Do you have a why? Our why was tallying up how much debt we really have and how much of it of our income we're spending monthly just paying debt, just paying interest to these companies for this debt that we don't even technically need to have. It was an overwhelming number, guys. And I mean, wow, okay. So anyways, that was our why. We were just determined to get all of this debt paid off, quit owing money to all these people so that we had freedom to use our money for other things, more enjoyable things like vacations. And, you know, we love doing house projects and we love, you know, giving to our family and people in need and spoiling people that we love. And we just aren't able to do that right now with all this debt hanging over our heads. So we had our motivation, we had our why. So my suggestion for you again is to find your why, find your motivation. If it's just to be debt free because you want to be, good for you. If to doing this cash envelope system has nothing to do with being debt free, maybe you have no debt. Good for you for being smart and not charging everything to a credit card at a young age and being dumb and silly, because so many of us do that, being young and naive. But if it has nothing to do with being debt free and you're just living paycheck to paycheck and you don't know why, you make a great amount of money. You should be able to live off your income, but yet you're living paycheck to paycheck. Where is this money going? Then this cash envelope system is ideal for you because you need to know where your money's going. You need to have a savings account for emergency situations, and you need to stop impulse shopping because that's probably where all your money's going, to things that don't matter and to things that you don't need. The point of the cash envelope system is to have money in certain categories, cash only. When you have cash in your hand, it's much, much different having cash in your hand to give to someone to pay for something than it is to have a card in your hand. So imagine this. I mean, it's pretty obvious if you think about it, okay? You go to the store and you're like, I'm gonna buy this, I just need a shirt for this party, okay? I just need this shirt for this work event, and I'm gonna just go get this shirt. Then you get there and you find a cute pair of pants that you don't need, and you find a cute pair of shoes that you don't need, and then you gotta get matching earrings, and then you end up going there and you're like, okay, this is probably gonna be $150, but it's fine because swipe, 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 I'm gonna just swipe my card and it doesn't even hurt, okay? But there's something different about having cash, okay? And when you know that the cash that's in this envelope is all you have for the next 2 weeks to the next month, you're gonna put those shoes back, you're gonna put those pants and those earrings back, and you're only gonna buy what you need because you're literally watching that money dwindle down to nothing, and you're thinking in the future, I'm gonna need that cash, and it's not gonna be there because I just had to have these pants and these earrings, when you know you didn't. Something about that physical giving away money rather than just swiping a card and not seeing the effects of it until later when it's tallied up to thousands of dollars that you owe, there's a big difference in that. As I explained earlier, my husband and I had done the Financial Peace University courses through our church, and one of the things that comes with that is a membership to the Financial Peace website, which has resources and videos and, you know, all the learning material that you need. But another thing that came with it that I found the most useful is the Every Dollar app. It's a website, but it's also an app that you can use on your phone, and it's free, okay? Free is awesome when you're trying to pay off debt. The Every Dollar app basically is a budgeting system that you use to enter all of the money that you make during the month in the categories that you plan to spend it in. And it's every dollar. It's counting for every dollar that you make. So you're literally putting your money in categories. So it has every single dollar has a place that it's going to be spent until that income is zero. Whether it be a savings account, whether it be a miscellaneous item, whether it be dog food, whether it be, you know, so many different things. So we used this Every Dollar app for about 3 months. It is linked to your bank account, and so every time you would use your debit card, it would put that transaction into this system, and you would take that transaction and add it to the category that you budgeted. So say you spent $45 for gas at Speedway, that transaction would come through because you used your debit card, and then you would then slide it over to the gas category, and it's tallying up how much you've spent in that category. And every day, well, we would do it once a week. We would look at it once a week. We would do all the transfers, and we'd see the areas that we were going over in, that we were under, that we were right on target with. And we spent those 3 or 4 months kind of learning where we're spending too much money and where we needed to adjust the budgets to have more money or where we could spend less money. Food was always a challenge for us, as you guys know. It's the whole reason we started the grocery hauls over a year ago. So it's something that you guys can try before starting the envelope system or in addition to the envelope system if you would like, so that you can track all of those debit transactions. But it also keeps track of your debt. So every payment of debt every payment that you're throwing towards debt, it's keeping track of that, and it's pulling that debt number down, down, down. So you're able to go and see that as well and see that that number's getting smaller. Feels so good when that number's getting smaller. It feels amazing. Okay, y'all, so I went ahead and just wrote up a little mock example for you guys to see what we did. Basically, what we did is we went through all of our budget of all of the bills that we have for the entire month. The first thing we did was looking at our income. Now, again, this is just a mock-up. This is not exactly what we make or anything like that. But let's say your income for the first 2 weeks, or your first 2 weeks of a paycheck, is $2,500. On the first of the month, you have your $1,200 mortgage. The 6th, you have your water bill. The 8th, you have your cell phone bill. And then you're paying childcare bi-weekly. This is just an example. And then your internet, I forgot to write a date. Let's say it's due on the 12th. After subtracting all of these bills from that paycheck, this is what is left over in the end. This is what you could take out of your bank account or withdraw from your bank account to put into your cash envelopes. This is an option of taking all of this out, but what we do is we leave a little cushion in the bank account of about $400, and then we take out that whatever's left after that $400, which would be $362. We add that to our cash envelopes. How you divvy up your cash envelopes is completely up to you. I'll go over that in a minute. And again, for the same thing at the end of the month. Say your second paycheck's only $1,500. Why they would be different between the 2 weeks, I don't know. Again, this is a mock-up. The 15th is your student loans. The 20th is your auto insurance. 23rd is your car payment. The 15th is another child care payment. And this is what you have left over for your cash envelopes. That you are then going to the bank and withdrawing that the day that you get paid. The reason I say that you should go to the bank account and withdraw that money the day of your paycheck is because if you wait, say you wait a couple days, you wait a couple weeks, a week or whatever that is, you're starting to swipe that debit card at that point because you're like, the money's in there, the money's in there, the money's in there. I'm just going to swipe it and I'll worry about the cash envelopes later. And then you end up overspending. I've done that. I promise you it happens every time that I use too much on the debit card. So always withdraw that money the day of your paycheck. So then once you have withdrawn that money from your bank account is when you go ahead and divvy them up into your envelopes. As of right now, I have only 5 envelopes. I know that that's not a lot. I plan to have more in the future, but I'm starting minimal right now because it's just the beginning. So right now, I have a savings envelope, which I put an amount in the savings every week. I force myself to do that. I have a miscellaneous envelope. This miscellaneous envelope is holding all the random things that I completely forget about or random things that you didn't expect you were going to need. Like, oh, the fire alarm battery is dead. I need to go buy those because that beeping sound is driving me crazy. That's the miscellaneous. Then we have fun money when I want to take the kids to go to the trampoline park or the zoo. That's our fun money.
Trampoline park?
Yeah, trampoline park. You love it. Then we have a food envelope. I like to keep this budget as low as possible and challenge myself because I already do a really low budget for groceries. So this is not for groceries. This is for like going out to eat, you know, grabbing snacks. And then I have a beauty envelope. Beauty envelope is for my eyelashes, my nails, my makeup, different things like that that I need a separate budget for that my husband would not. So then my husband has his own cash envelope system. And this is just something that we got through Dave Ramsey for like really cheap. And it's actually pretty nice because it has different envelopes and then it gives you the option to write down all of the things that you're spending. So you start with a certain number and then the next week you spent this much. So you subtract that and you get your total and you keep going at the end of the month. You just are always knowing exactly how much is in there. I don't do that on my envelopes because, well, I can just pull it out and count it if I want to. Instead, I keep all receipts so that I can keep track of how much I spent off of those receipts, but I'm not having to check back with it every day. I can just do it at the end of that pay period. So I know a lot of you are going to ask where I got my envelopes. You guys don't need anything fancy like this. You could literally use letter envelopes. It doesn't have to be fancy. I'm just kind of extra and bougie. And so I got my envelopes. They are laminated, which is nice because when you're out and about, you don't want something real flimsy sometimes. But again, you can use them. It's not that big of a deal if you do. And then they have the label, and I use like a dry erase marker to write down my label so that I can erase it if I ever want to change it. You could use a permanent marker if you think it's going to go forever. And again, they're super cute. I got these from the Budget Boutique. She has an Instagram page and she has an Etsy shop. And the Etsy shop, I got 5 of these for about $7. Prices vary on these because you can buy 7, you can buy 10, you can buy a different amount, and then the pattern prices change as well. So she sent these to me within 2 days. They were in the mail. She laminates them. She can hole punch them if you do end up finding an envelope system that has the prongs inside of them. And I will link up a couple of really cute envelopes systems that I've seen at different shops. I just haven't bought them myself yet. Maybe one day if this system continues to work well for us, I'll buy one. but know that she can hole punch them for you as well. Not only did she send me the envelopes for a great price, she also sent me these very cute cash breakdown cards. And these are nice to take to the bank when you need to go withdraw money and you need different increments of money. You need a couple ones, you need some fives, you need some tens. Otherwise, when you go to the ATM, they're just gonna spit out a bunch of 20s, and maybe you need to pull out $187. Well, then you're pulling out the 200 and that extra money isn't in there for your bills. So these are great to have. You can make these and cut them out yourself. She sent me a good amount to hold me over for a few paychecks, but it was really nice of her to send those in addition to. How much do you add to each cash envelope was another question that I received. That's up to you. You know how much you need each month for your makeup. You know how much money is ideal for food, but you want to be frugal with this. So when you say you're gonna put $150 to go out to eat every week in your cash envelopes, that's a lot. I mean, depending on where you live, that's a lot. That's just outrageous. Challenge yourself. Give yourself $20 for the whole week. That means you're only getting Starbucks a couple times and that's it, you know? Don't be outrageous with it. Don't be outrageous. I mean, if you use the Every Dollar app, you're seeing where you're overspending and you're trying to challenge yourself not to spend that much. You know, you're not living poor. You're not living to the point where you're like eating mud out of your backyard, but at the same time, you're also not splurging, okay? So you need to be smart where you're spending that money. So that's where that Every Dollar app comes in handy, because you learn how you can adjust these things and what's a reasonable amount before you even start the cash envelope system. Like I told you guys with my cash envelopes, I only have 5 right now, but there's so many more that you can add in the future. There are a few things that I plan to add as we go. Things like saving for Christmas, things like budgeting ahead of time for renewing my dental hygiene license. For all of you who don't know, I'm a dental hygienist full-time on top of this. Vacations, medical bills, you know, in case those come up in the future with an accident, knocking on wood, different things like that. And then another thing that you can think about are what Dave Ramsey calls sinking funds. What sinking funds are thinking about all your annual costs. So when I mentioned my dental license earlier, I renew that once a year. Another thing would be like renewing your tags on your car, Christmas shopping, things that come once a year that aren't cheap, that you should probably be budgeting for ahead of time, so that then when they come up that month, you're not like, oh no, I don't have the money in the budget to pay for this. So you can set that in your cash envelope budget, keeping that cash at home, but keeping that, say you get like an index box and it has these sinking funds for the year inside of them, and every month you're taking a portion of that and paying it. For example, okay, so here's just an example of what I mean. Again, this is a mock-up. So say you have $1,000 you want to spend for Christmas each year. Each year you have to renew your dental license for $160. You know you're going to have to get new tags for $150. Car maintenance, say you spend that much on, you know, estimated oil changes and all those things, and then you have your homeowners association fee of $165. You're going to go ahead and take each of those and divide them by 26. And I say 26 because this is how many paychecks I get in a year. So your paychecks amounts may be different. If you're paid weekly, it's 52. If it's monthly, it's 12. And then you're going to find out how much each paycheck you'll be putting into those sinking funds, so that when the time of year comes that you need to use this money, it's there. It's not just pulling out $1,000 randomly out of your butt to pay for Christmas. It's been budgeted throughout the entire year. So each paycheck, I'm putting in $39 for Christmas. For my dental license, I'm putting $7. For my car tags, I'm putting $6. For my car maintenance, I'm putting $12. And for my HOA, I'm putting $7. This is the total for each paycheck. And that doesn't seem like a whole lot each paycheck, but this seems like a whole lot at one time, right? So this is an easy way to do sinking funds. And this is a goal that my husband and I are trying to get to, so that we can have this all worked out for next year. I already talked about some of the goals that my husband and I have for this cash envelope system. 1, spending as little as possible in each of these envelopes monthly. I can't even begin to tell you how different it is exchanging that cash for something than it is using the debit card for something, or that quick little Amazon thing that I need. And I just hit that quick click list or quick click and buy button that they have on Amazon now. Gosh, it's so dangerous. I'm actually thinking about the things that I have to buy. So the goal is to spend as little as possible at the end of that pay period. And at the end of that pay period, you will combine your envelopes. So if you're a single person, it's just your envelope. If you're a couple or a family, you are combining those envelopes, pulling out all the extra money and realizing how much you didn't spend. Whatever money you didn't spend, you are going to pay towards your debt. Whether that means going to deposit into the bank and paying it that same day, or whether it means reevaluating your cash envelope system, keeping that cash and then only withdrawing the extra of that when you go to withdraw for the next paycheck. I'll explain that and a little bit more too. This is kind of how we have done it. Okay, so here's a quick example and breakdown of what I mean. At the end of our first 2 weeks, Alex did not spend $155. That's how much he had left over in his envelopes after our first pay period. I had $145 left over after our first pay period. So that left us an extra $300 left over that we did not spend. Yay, we're gonna go pay debt with that. But instead of going to deposit that $300 into the bank to make the payment to our debt, and then going back and withdrawing the money we're going to need for the next 2 weeks, which is $400. Each of us are going to have $200 to use for the next 2 weeks in our envelopes. I will just keep that $300 cash, go withdraw the extra $100, making it the total of $400, divvying it up between the two of us, $200 each, instead of the silliness of going to deposit $300 and then just pulling $400 back out. I hope that makes sense. But still, that $300 will be left in the bank account because you budgeted it that way for the next 2 weeks, and then you'll make that payment immediately to your debt. Why? Why will you make that payment immediately? Because if you don't, you're going to spend it, and if you don't, it's not going to get budgeted. It's going to mess up your entire budget. So just make that payment right away. For all of you who are debt-free, put it in your savings account. Immediately transfer it to your savings account. No time wasted. Just do it. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt to throw $300 at your debt because you're like, I don't even see the fruit of that yet. That number's still so high. But trust me, it'll just continue to get smaller and it's gonna feel good eventually. So that is a true life example for us. That is exactly what we had left over this month, and that $300 plus the little extra on my paycheck that I wasn't expecting was a payment I made today to pay off our credit card. Completely paid off a credit card today. It hurt to make that payment because I'm like, oh, that $300, I could do so much with that $300. I really need some new jeans. But it also feels so good once you hit that confirm or that send button to your debt because you know that that credit card is empty. So I just imagine, okay, what's next? Now we have car payments. Then we have student loans. And imagine how good that's going to feel when I hit that final send and you get that confirmation of $0 balance on student loans. That day comes closer and closer every time I continue with this system. So we're only 2 weeks in and we've already saved $300. I can't even imagine how much easier this is going to get with time to save even more money. Another thing I want to touch on, I mentioned Amazon earlier. So for things that you're going to buy online, I know that there's so many great things to buy on Amazon instead of in the store. And I'm an Amazon lover, so I'm not hating on Amazon. And you can totally still use Amazon. It just gets a little bit more complicated, but nothing that you can't handle. I buy some of my makeup online through QVC. And so in order to budget for that, so say I'm going to spend $20 on my makeup. Well, I have my beauty category. So when I go to make that purchase online, I've got to physically take that cash out of this envelope, I will go put it in an envelope that is labeled bank account or deposit money or something along those lines. You're gonna put it in that envelope, and the next time you drive by the bank, you're gonna go deposit it because you need the money in there in order to spend it. Or you're gonna put it in there before you spend it. That would be more ideal, actually. You're gonna deposit that money, but take it physically out of your cash, or when you budget your withdrawal, you're gonna budget that into what's staying in the bank account before you spend it. So like at the beginning of the month, I know I'm gonna run out of my makeup. So I budget that into the digital bills, leave it in the bank account so that when I go to withdraw the cash, I don't withdraw the cash in that beauty department. I leave it in the bank account, but that just leaves me less money to put in this beauty department. I don't just put the same amount that I usually do in my beauty department because I already spent 20 of it on makeup. So I'm only gonna put another 20. I'm not gonna put the full 40. I hope that makes sense too. So that's an option for online purchases because that was another question that I got as well. So back to the questions that you all were asking me. I already told you where I got my envelopes, and I'm going to go ahead and link up where you can get some wallets. How did I start? Where did we begin? You're paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly was one of my questions. Does this make a difference whether I'm paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, or the 1st or the 15th? It doesn't make a difference. Your budget's just gonna be a little bit different as far as how you break it down, but it doesn't make a difference how you get paid. You could be pulling cash out weekly or bi-weekly or on the 1st or the 15th or monthly. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different depending on how they get paid. Another question was that my income changes all the time. Instead, I'm paid off commission or something along those lines. Well, take an average of what you make, or take an example of what the lowest is that you make on average and base it off of that. And then anything extra that you bring home, that's towards debt, or that's into your savings account, or you put that into a miscellaneous item and it's there, or you're adding extra into the sinking funds, or that's there. But base your budget off of the lowest amount that you make, and the excess that you have is just a bonus, baby. I'd be using that to just tackle student loans like no other. Can y'all tell that student loans stress me out? Yeah, that number's really high. It stresses me out a lot. So anyways, that answers that question. And then someone asked me, what about all the change or the coins that you get back from spending cash? What do you do with that? That's a really good question because I had to figure that out early on. I put all of my envelopes in this wallet that I bought at Marshall's forever ago because they fit in here perfectly. It also holds all my discount cards that I use, like my Speedway card and my library card and all that stuff, and my gift cards and stuff. So anyways, it also has a zipper that holds coins as well. But what I like to do is, say I go up to the register and if I get up to the register and my cost is like $1.29. Well, I will pull 29 cents out of here just so I can keep as much actual physical dollars in here, making my wallet a lot lighter. But if you don't think to do that and you don't pull coins out, I will put my coins in the zipper. And then at the end of the day, I have a coin jar at home. I'll show you my coin jar. So I have this coin jar here at home, and I empty out all my coins inside of this jar at least once a week, but I try to do it every day. And then this is all going to tally up. I will end up wrapping these coins, taking them to the bank, depositing them, and putting them towards debt as well. So yes, coins add up. Carrying cash is hard, but it's the way that people used to do it. My great-grandparents did it, and so you can do it, and it's not something that's impossible. There was not always debit cards. It's just a new way of life for our generation, I guess. So then another question in relation to that was, do you ever get nervous carrying around that much cash? Yeah. That's scary because you could just drop this wallet and somebody is just rich, right? You could get it stolen, leave it in your car. Don't do that. Leave it somewhere, whatever the case may be. That's a lot of cash to hold around. I understand that. That is actually one thing that bothers me a little bit. It just makes me nervous. So what I do is I only take the cash envelopes that I know I'm going to use for that day. That's also another way to keep you from being tempted to spend more. So I go to work. I know I'm probably going to buy a coffee on the way, so I'll take my food and then I'll take my miscellaneous, but I'll only take a little bit. So I only have, $40 in the miscellaneous for the day, just in case something comes up. Whatever that may be. So I will only take these envelopes for the day and I'll leave the rest in my house in a safe place. So I'm not taking all the cash at one time. So that's something that you could do. And like I said, then you're not tempted by saying, oh, I have my beauty wallet, so I'm just gonna run into Sephora and spend some money. Instead, you're like, yeah, I don't have my beauty envelope, so I can't go there. So then another question in relation to that was just how nervous someone was to have all that money in their house. The best solution to that is just making sure that you're leaving this money in a safe place. Don't leave it on your counter where people can peek in your windows and go, oh, I see a lot of money there, I'm gonna take it. Get a safe, put it somewhere safe, or just only take out what you need weekly. So that way you're not holding a whole month at a time. Just know that weekly you have to go and pull that out. Whatever makes you feel safe. Again, this is going to be different for everybody. So you just kind of got to see what works best for you and stick to it. Everybody's system's different, and all the research that I've done, nobody's has been the same. So I think that's all the questions that I received from everybody. If there's any more, please reach out to me, leave a comment, find me on Instagram. Here's my Instagram handle. Send me a DM, ask the questions. If there's anybody out there who's used this system before or is currently using this system and you've had success or you've had challenges, I encourage you, please, please, please share that with me. Again, I'm new to this too, and I'm learning as I go. So if there's tips and tricks that you want to share that I can get on here and share back, or leave a comment below for other people to read, don't be shy to do that. It's really nice to get in conversation with people who have experience with this so I can learn as I go too. I hope that this was helpful for so many of you. I hope that this system is something that you guys are willing to try to challenge yourself for the year 2020, just like me and my family are. I appreciate all of your guys' support, and I thank you for watching my channel. If you learned something today, please like, share, subscribe. Like I said, comment. I need all the feedback that I can get. And if you think someone else could benefit from this, like I said, share away, please. I will leave all the links of everything I talked about below. And I will be talking to you guys soon. Good luck.